What's up, guys? Welcome back to Veteran Aquatics. My name is Dylan, and today we're going to talk about how to set up a quarantine tank. We're going to talk about why it's important, why I do it, and why you definitely need to do it. But before we go ahead and get started, make sure you hit that thumbs up and smash the subscribe button. And I'll see you in a minute. Alright guys, so first we're going to talk about why a quarantine tank is important. When you get new fish, right, if you have existing fish tanks like me, I have 22 tanks now, I probably have 15 of them set up. I'm getting some new fish this weekend, so more on that soon. But when you get new fish, right, if you get them from a pet store, a local breeder, a friend, if you order them online, you don't know what environment those fish were kept in. You don't know if they have parasites, if they have any kind of infections, if they have any kind of ick or anything like that. And if they do, the last thing you want to do is introduce that to your fish tank. Because what's going to happen is that fish is going to infect all your other healthy fish, and you're probably going to lose them all. If you don't lose them all, you have to treat the entire tank as opposed to a smaller quarantine tank. So for a quarantine tank, I use 20 gallons. They're a pretty versatile tank size. As long as you're not getting anything too big, they work well as a quarantine. I'm going to be setting up a 55-gallon quarantine as well, just for some of the bigger fish that I plan on getting here in the future. So when you set up these quarantine tanks, the first thing you have to do is get a tank. I've done videos on how to get free tanks, how to get cheap tanks. If you haven't seen those before, I'll go ahead and link them in the description box below. You can check those out. I've gotten most of my tanks for next to nothing. So you have your tank. You set it up. You need a filter, a heater, 5 watts per gallon, and you can or cannot use substrate. I choose to do so. It makes my life a little bit harder. Most people do a bare bottom tank for a quarantine only because it's that much easier to keep clean, right? You can just siphon whatever extra food and fish waste is on the bottom of the tank, either with a gravel vacuum, a python, whatever it is that you're using. So you set it up, the tank is cycled. Okay, so you went through the cycling process, and it's ready. So when you get new fish, put them in the quarantine tank. Do not add them directly to your aquarium. If you do, as I was saying before, you run the risk of infecting your tank with an alien disease, something that your tank did not have. Okay? So when you get these fish, I treat them with a couple of things. The first thing I do, I put aquarium salt in all of my fish tanks. It helps ward off infections. It helps, keep the fish healthier because there is a certain degree of salinity in the environments that they're coming from. The next thing I do is I treat for ick. I use Ick X, which you can buy on Amazon. I know Corey from Aquarium Co-op uses it as well, and that treats for ick. And I'll show you what else I use because I have it up here with all of my medication. I use API Pimifix, which is for fungal infections, and I use API Melifix, which is for bacterial infections. Alright, so fish you get, maybe they have fin rot, maybe they got into a fight with another fish, got messed up on a piece of tank decor, and it got infected. That can easily transfer to the rest of your fish. Like I said, and this is why it's so important, the last thing you want to do is take a healthy tank and put a sick fish in it. And any fish that you buy, like I said, anywhere you get them, you really, really, really need to quarantine them. The only exception to this is, for example, this weekend when I go out and get some of the new fish I'm getting that are going in the 90-gallon, there's nothing in there. So being that I'm getting them all at the same time, they can all go in there and I can just treat them in there. Okay? It gives me a way I can view them easily. I can wash them, check for signs of fin rot and ick and stress. Okay? That's something that's also very important, and that's why it's good to have a bare bones quarantine tank. Yes, fish like to hide, they like plants. We all know that I'm a big fan of plants. That said, it's a lot easier to see the fish when the tank is empty besides the fish. So you want to watch them. Are they eating? Right? Are they acting funny? Are they scratching on the sand? Are they scratching on the side of the tank? Do you see any irritated spots? Do you see any white spots? Do you see white stringy poop, which could be indicative of them having an internal parasite? And I have medicated food for that. There's also medication you can buy online. I know things like puffers, they're all wild caught and they are notorious for having parasites. That includes pea puffers. So people treat them with medicated food and other things to treat internal parasites. Alright? So when I get a new fish, I quarantine them for about 2 weeks. If they're sick with anything, that goes to a month. Only because I have so many fish, and so many fish that are important to me, that I really can't, I just won't put myself in a position to lose the fish. For example, I'm trying to get another of the Parachromis species, like the jaguar cichlids. That's probably going to be what goes in the 125, and I know who I'm getting them from. He's well known on YouTube and in the fish community, and that said, I will still quarantine the fish. But as long as I don't have anything else in the other 125 at that point, I can treat them in there. But here's why I won't. 125 gallons is a lot of water to treat. 20 gallons, not so much. It takes a lot less medication to medicate a 20 gallon versus a 55, a 75, a 125, a 300 gallon. Because you have to remember, the bigger the tank, the more medication you need. Now, a caveat to this is scaleless fish, things that have skin, right? Some catfish, some plecos, things like that, they're very sensitive to medications. So when you're medicating a tank like that, you need to use half the amount that's prescribed on the bottle. If you don't, you may over-medicate the fish, and because their skin is so sensitive, it may cause them a lot of health problems, and in the end, they'll probably die. Alright? So 2 weeks, as long as everything's going good. If they're sick, a month or more. Right? I've kept fish separated for up to 2 months, just because that's how long it took me to get that fish healthy to a point where I felt comfortable putting it into a tank with existing fish. Right? Another thing, if you've never treated ick before, you can use the medicine. You can also turn your aquarium heater up a bit to, let's say I keep my tank at 79, you can turn it up to 82. The hotter the temperature in the tank, the faster the ick cycle goes, so the parasite will go through its life cycle much faster in a warmer temperature. The aquarium salt also helps with this, which is why all of my tanks get aquarium salt. It also helps keep fungal infections and bacterial infections at bay. Alright, so that's pretty much it on how to set up a quarantine tank, why it's important, why you should do it. And like I said, if you have an empty tank, by all means, put the fish in it, treat all the fish in that tank, you'll be fine. But somebody like me with existing tanks, I just can't do it. Alright, that's it for today, guys. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Right? I'd really appreciate it. I know I get a lot of views on these videos, and it's solely to help people out. I would really appreciate the support and having everybody subscribe. So I'll just show you the tank real quick. It's literally just, it's got a filter, it's got a heater, it's got some sand in it. Completely bare tank. Right? As always, guys, have a phenomenal day.